God, I hate this thing. So, if you like a Sandoval, it's apparently I had to get hold of this guy, and fortunately, I have relatives that live by him, so they were able to look him up for me because I couldn't find him on the internet anywhere. So he had worked on a Sandoval, and he took a bunch of notes and stuff, whatever. I don't think he ever planned on making one, but he did. He said he's made like 4 of these. So he goes, he tried to get it as close as possible. I'm like, why? Why wouldn't you make this just like a Gibson neck or a Jackson other type of neck? Because Randy he liked, at first he, liked thinner, faster necks, but it didn't really matter because he sounded good no matter what. He hated the Dan Electro at first, but as he played it, because he loved the sound of the Polka Dot V, he just didn't like the way it played. But he got used to it. Just like you get used to guitars. And if you're playing like 4 guitars or 2 guitars or whatever, like him, Les Paul, flying V, Les Paul, flying V, Les Paul, flying V, you get used to it. And then he gets the Concord thrown in there and he uses it for 2 songs. Didn't use it in you did not use the Concord in the studio, as far as I know. He just used his Sandoval and the Les Paul for everything. And, didn't get chimed to double track and solos, which like so crazy. It took me years to wait a minute, these solos aren't double track. Some of them have a scratch track, because he'd put a scratch track solo because he had an idea of what he'd do. And sometimes he'd go good enough because he realized, because of Sharon, we're gonna pull out. This was so stupid that Sharon was pulling Randy out to come to America with her and Ozzy to set up the tour, and Bob was told stay back and help Max Norman finish Diary. And he's like, good, maybe I'll get more money or royalty, or maybe I'll get a pickle. I don't know. But no, he was, see ya, we got Rudy Sarzo, and we got Randy Rhoads, and we've always had Tommy Aldridge in mind. When Randy found out that they were going to do this bait and switch thing, which they were doing, they were baiting Bob with, help us finish that album because this is the follow-up to something that is huge and we didn't expect it to be huge. But we're going to go to America, see ya, we'll be back. Yeah, right. So, so Randy didn't use, he had the Concorde in 1980. and started using it on the Blizzard tour. And I'm pretty sure he, man, you know what? My mind is just, I'm pretty sure a few shows no, I don't think he ever played it with Bob Daisley on stage. And as far as I know, from what I was told by Randy, I think, because I was younger than crap, 12, 13, and I really didn't ask him these questions until he came back in 81 when I was like 16, 17. See, in 81, I turned 16. My birthday's in December, so I was in the middle of the school year. So it screws everything up for me. It's like 11th, 12th grade. It's I'm 16 for half of 11th, and then 17 for half of 11th. So it's weird. Because I usually try to go by like that. So anyways, the last time I talked to Randy, I did ask him. And then when we drove out to the Orange Pavilion, I think it's called, or whatever, the fairgrounds. It was actually called Orange County Fairgrounds, and there's a big pavilion where they would use for the fair, but they'd also have concerts there. And I've seen everybody, Pantera on their Vulgar Display tour, and even Far Beyond Driven before they went from that stadiums. But even when they went to stadiums, they weren't quite sure. No one was quite sure, because they had a #1 album, but could they sell out a stadium, or could they sell out an arena? So they would always bill themselves with White Zombie, or they jumped at the chance to open for Sabbath in 96. Sabbath reunion, full band, like the full band, and Pantera, I think that was 96. Check me if I'm wrong. If anybody's even watching, I mean, some people did watch the video I did yesterday, or day before yesterday, or whatever, and it's chump change. It might pick up, but I never know. So I'm going to put this one talking about Pantera and Sabbath and Ozzy and Randy and all this crap, because I'm talking about them. And I did talk to Randy, and he all he said was, yeah, I'm going to be, because I said, are you going to be using the Concorde? Because I was there when they were building the Concorde. I was there when he was still working on it with them, and I was getting my Star made. And the Star turned into a project, because I knew what I wanted, but I didn't want their neck, and I didn't want them to know I didn't want their neck. So I took the guitar home. I had the guy in Burbank switch necks, and then blast off the friggin', let's see, what did I do? I did something so they wouldn't know, but they knew. They go, this isn't the same neck, this isn't a Charvel neck. I go, no, it's a friggin' Fender, because that's what I'm used to. I'm used to Fender necks. So this is a 78 Fender. I bought it at Guitar Center, and they're like, well, okay, if that's what you want. I'm like, that's what I want. That's what I sound on the guitar. Now, will you please continue to work on it? Like, okay, well, what color do you want? And I go, I don't know. So they hit it with clear, and that worked. And then they hit it with white, and then I eventually went with white and bullet holes. Because I'm like, polka dots, no, but bullet holes. Because they're smaller and they crack. But nobody could do it back then. This is like 1983, 3. So I had to go to a guy that did motorcycle paint, for helmets and tanks and stuff. And he did my guitar, and it looked great. Bullet holes all over. I said, and make sure the blood's only coming out of the holes. Like if I was playing it and someone went with a machine gun, do-do-do-do-do-do-do, but only blood coming out of the holes, that would be, where I was standing. He goes, that's a pretty cool idea. And then he wrote my name in blood later. That's a whole different thing. Okay, so I'm just going to play for a little bit, because I got to go already. Unbelievable. All right. started this effing video, I tuned this piece of crap. But now, I don't know what the humidity is, but the humidity, if it moves like, 10%, this thing is worthless. Now I know why the guy sold the damn guitar to me so cheap. I'm going to kick this. Because I've had this thing completely set up by a professional. Put a, DiMarzio. It should be perfect. It's not the bridge. It's just, sometimes you get a lemon. And this guy, I think he knew he got a lemon, but I don't think he thought I knew the guy that could fix it. And I used to know the guy that could fix it. God rest his soul. But he's now deceased, and I have no tech, and I gotta find a new one. And the guy that did this charged me a good, he said it was gonna be $200. He did it for 80, which is really cool of him. But he wanted me back, and then he jacked it up then. But this thing is totally out of tune, and I don't want to sit here and tune it. Look at that. What the why is it doing? Oh, this. Damn Wylde overdrive on. That can't be on. Whoa, that is way off. I think I told you. I was walking home, and the exact place where I took the picture of Randy Rhoads in his car, which I've fixed up and I'm giving to them to go with the display of his car. I used an AI program to fix the picture, which was completely, you couldn't even tell it was Randy Rhoads. You couldn't tell it was a human. Now you can completely see Randy Rhoads sitting in his Scirocco. It's amazing. So anyways, I showed it to them. They're like, oh, we want, and sister cried again. So I said, okay, let me print it out for you. I'm going to bring it to you. So I already gave a little picture to Richard, and they love it. They want a bigger one. So I'm having that done for them. I didn't want them to spend a dime on it. This is my present to them. Walking up Cypress, I said, "Hey, Randy." He stops, and he's in Aussie. He's been in Aussie now. This is 1981, so he's in town, and they're getting ready to go on the Diary tour. And I told him, you know what? I don't think I'm cut out to be a guitar player. And you're probably thinking to yourself, I've heard you. You're not. Remember, neuropathy. I was a little better before. A little better. I was pretty good. I was very good. Rhythm. Nobody was better. Lead, I always tried to play faster than Yngwie or Yngwie. So, like one time I was just telling my cousins, this is not a story about Randy Rhoads, but Randy Rhoads, so I pulled him over. I said, I don't think I can play guitar. I'm not cut out for it. He said, absolutely do not stop playing guitar. I was going to switch to bass. He goes, you can play guitar if you put your mind to it and you practice. Remember, what did I used to say before to you? Every time you would leave, before you left, you would say, practice, practice, practice. 3 times. Apparently he said that to a lot of people. And I said, yeah, you're right. And he goes, so that's what you need to do is practice, practice. And I couldn't just sit down and practice. Back then it was different than now. You didn't have video cameras, and you could only had a little crappy tape player or a ghetto blaster stereo, which made it better, so you could play and then listen back, and you're like, whoa. And then when 4-tracks came out, 4-track tape recorders, you could, dub, so you do 1 track and then you do a stereo, and you're like, wow, that sounds really great. So that became easier to work with, and you wanted to play and da-da-da-da-da, but it was better when you got into a band, any band. So that's what I did. I just got into any band. And especially after I graduated and had the family situation, like my son and my wife, or girlfriend, wife, settled, and then I went back out there and boom. You know, I was in, London for 3 days because, Lizzie was out of his mind on something. I don't know what. I think it was smack, but I don't know. So, basically he said, don't stop playing. This conversation went on for about a half hour, 45 minutes, and he convinced me to keep playing guitar, and I did. But in '85, I stopped again after I saw Steve Vai play at a little club with just a 3-piece. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is that? Because I'd really never seen sweep picking. I saw Yngwie going, but he was picking every single note. Steve Vai was doing something that was like, and I thought he was like, I go, what is this guy, a Martian? So I said, forget it. If this is the way guitar's going, I'll never get to this level. So I went up to him afterwards and said, can I have your autograph? He said, sure. Signs the ticket, which someone gave me at Turning Point. Turning Point is the store where Edward Van Halen went in and bought the Diary of a Madman album and left. And that's where everybody went to get, imports and bootlegs and drugs. So they're not there anymore, so I can say it. So anyways, Randy would go in there to get, imports, bootlegs and stuff, his own album to give the people if he ran out of them. Because Sony would send like boxes of 50 to each member every couple of months, 6 months or whatever, to give away to people. That's how I got my... I got one from Randy and I got one from Drew. The first one, because I never bothered to get this first one because I thought it was horrible. The second, with Slick Black Cadillac, I liked that song, so I got it. Randy gave it to me, and then I got the first one from Drew. At which he had his 3 boxes stored in his mom's garage, and she lived over there. So anyways, that's your Randy. Quiet Riot DeBro. No, not DeBro. Drew. Okay, so Yngwie. So I saw Yngwie play with Steeler. So this is the first time Yngwie ever played. It was at the Troubadour with the band Steeler. And I hated, Ron Keel's voice. But they had got backing and an album, and Rick Fox, the poser of bass players. But hey, you know what? He looked good. I didn't give a crap what he sounded like. Nicky Sixx was just as big a poser as Rick Fox was. It's just, they both eventually got backing. Ron Keel got backing because he brought over this friggin' ridiculously amazing guitar player that everybody's like, what the hell? Yngwie. So, oh, okay, I just remembered a story about, so Ron Keel's girlfriend or whatever, I think it was his girlfriend, not his wife, she was 20 years older than him. And he was 20-something, so she was she looked like an old lady to me, really old. She was in the men's room, changing before he went on, so, she was changing her clothes and all that, because she got there late from something. And why she didn't go into the ladies' room or into the back, I do not know. So I opened up the door to go to the bathroom. Whoa! And she goes, no, come on in. She pulls me in. Nothing happened. Maybe. But it doesn't matter. So the thing is I was telling my friends that when me and my bass player, Tony, would go into the, Rainbow Bar and Grill, and we'd always get in free because we'd bring in a lot of girls. Because, believe it or not, I used to look really good. And so did Tony. But Tony was gay. And that was the great secret. Because we would come in and we'd have 15, 20 girls sitting at the table in the middle. And, only special people had middle tables in the rainbow, and then everybody would walk around in circles, wishing, hoping somebody would say, hey, sit down, blah, blah, blah. So, and this happened with Yngwie and with Lemmy, because, I'd go in, and then me and Tony would go in, we'd get a bunch of girls would start sitting down at the table, we'd we'd order drinks, we'd order a pizza, or actually Tony would, I was broke always, and Tony was working at Warner Brothers as a set painter. He got me in there for a few years as a set painter, but I never got into the union, long story. So, when I had enough girls at the table, I'd say, okay, Tony, see ya, you can go down to Santa Monica and find your date for the evening. So then he'd split, and then I'd be alone. And they're like, well, is your friend going to be back? I'd go, eventually. And then one time, Yngwie came in, and he's like, why do you have other women? Wow, that sounded like a French guy, huh? Whatever Yngwie sounds like, Yngwie. I'm like, why? Do you want to sit down? Because I've got more than I know what to do with. He goes, yeah. So he sat down. I said, 6 or 7 of you get up and let him come in and, keep a gap between us. A buffer between us of girls. And so he sat down, and it was a night for everybody, a few other people, guys from Autograph, the drummer, the singer, and the guitar player came in, sat down. Apparently they'd ran into Yngwie, they wanted to party with us. Yngwie ended up leaving with some chick. I thought he was married, but apparently it didn't matter. Yeah, it didn't matter. Back then, I guess. I'm telling stories because this thing sounds like crap. So, then I ended up going off and partying with the 3 guys from Autograph. Turn up the radio. Turn up the radio. And the singer had red curly hair. Good song, though. And, it was the singer, the drummer, and the bass player. Not the guitar player. Singer, drummer, and bass player. The bass player had black hair, I think. That's who it was. So we took off with an armful of girls and a couple armfuls, and we cruised. They wanted to cruise around Hollywood and they wanted to do everything. So they wanted to hit all the clubs, Troubadour, Roxy, Whiskey, everywhere. And I dropped them, or they dropped me off because they had the limo. And they said, where do you live? I said, Burbank. And the guy, can you drop them off? And they go, we'll do whatever. The driver, the limo said, we'll do whatever you want. We come back here, and then you tell us if we're done for the night. I go drop him off in Burbank, me and the girl. And then the limo took off, and that was it. I don't need to go into the cocaine and the amounts of drugs and horrible things that went on in the back of the limo, but it was crazy. And I think the limo was white. I don't know, something was white. But the guys from Autograph were pretty cool, man. And everybody just, was cool. To just, be in the band that was selling out all the clubs, popular band. You didn't have to be signed. You just had to be the most popular band in Hollywood. So with Trick or Treat and with Fatal Attraction, I got that. And even before that, just me and Tony. Because we would run ads, and, everybody in the band looked stupid except for me, Tony, and the drummer, Daz Bash, who eventually went into a band called Paradise. And he eventually had his times, but he was in a few things and did some stuff, but whatever. He went back to Florida and became a construction worker and has done pretty well for himself and did a couple of reunions with Paradise. So he was in my band Stiletto. And then I was going to use him in Fatal Attraction, but he had too many problems by then. He's a nice guy, though. I love the guy. So there you go.